have Bastiaan over here. Bastiaan is our specialist in compliance.
Compliance, security, bit of all.
Bit of all. Oh, that's cool. And we're going to talk about the SBOM. You triggered me actually about the SBOM.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't aware of it, and I'm a software guy, so that's interesting that people tell me something that I should know. So we're going to talk about the SBOM. It's the bill of material for software, but it's got some origin. It comes from somewhere, and there's a reason behind it.
Yep.
Let's talk about it.
Good one.
So yeah, what happened? What
Yeah, well,
what's the reason behind it?
the specific origin of it all, the specifics of SBOM is it's the BOM is bill of material, and of course you have a bill of material for when you go to the hardware store.
Yeah.
And then when construction workers were building buildings, they have a material or a bill of materials. So
the number of screws and
yeah, exactly.
cardboard,
And especially with the whole sustainability, if you break down the building, what can you get out of it? And then you had, looking at the IT side of things, if you have a piece of software like an enterprise application or a smartphone application, it's also a construction of things. So number of libraries and stuff.
You have architects for that.
You have architects. Yeah, exactly. like the physical buildings. And what the risk with software is that developers are reusing and using all kinds of libraries that are out there, and then maybe they forget to document the things that they have been using.
Developers are not really good at documenting.
No,
they don't like it.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's boring, and you want to get on with it, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of 2021, all of a sudden there was this Log4j thing where you had this commonly used library which was really useful and was in all kinds of software applications.
It's a good Christmas present.
Yeah, I know that the Christmas holidays, it wasn't the best for most of the people working in IT. And it was a real quest for applications in which that piece of software or that library was used.
Yeah. I remember that we got lots of emails from anywhere. Lots of customers asked us, "Do you use the Log4j library?" Yeah. We didn't, but no. Still.
No, and how could you be so sure that you didn't?
That's a good question. Yeah, I asked the developers. They said,
we don't know exactly.
But that's totally the reason why you want to have an SBOM.
Yeah,
because you want to be sure.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's an executive bill with a far too long name for this podcast where the U.S. states, well, I would like software developers, or I would like to enforce this SBOM, this software bill of materials, to developers.
Yeah.
So if we want to make sure that our applications within the government, for instance, in the US, are sure or are secure, then we need to know what's inside and what are our vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
And we see that with the NIST, so the Network and Information Security guidelines that are coming up in Europe as well, that you have this responsibility for your enterprise architecture, your applications within the organization, and you're responsible for the things that you buy. So even your suppliers, you need to make sure that they're doing the right type of things.
Yeah, the whole chain. You need to be sure that your whole chain is doing proper work.
Yeah, exactly.
And proper technology in your company. Yeah.
And then the SBOM is really helpful, actually. So what the SBOM is a machine-readable, structured and integrated list of all software components that are used in your application.
Yeah.
And
so that describes the architecture.
Yep.
So like where data is stored and how do you get there, or what?
Yeah, well, it's there's a list of things, and the funny thing is that there's not a standard list of things yet.
Great.
Yes. So the SBOM, the idea itself is as far as I know, a common thing that they say, yeah, you need to have an SBOM.
Yeah.
But the fact that it needs to describe only this or specifically this, that's not really enforced yet. There is a common thing that the names, the version of the software, the links to other parts of the software, the libraries, the hash of the library to make it comparable. Those are all need to be listed in that specific bill of materials.
But that's an interesting question to ask, because it sometimes relates to operating system versions, or what kind of store you want to access the data, where is it stored and how do you access it? Is it by SDK, software developer kit, or library, or an API? So it needs all to be in there.
It all needs to be in, and also where you get it from. So is it from an app store, or is it from GitHub, and then which source control is it stored in, and when did you get it, and which version did you get? It goes pretty far from in terms of a traceability of the software.
But that's okay. A lot of developers check GitHub for interesting libraries, or because a library or a software development kit helps you. It makes your life a bit more easy as a developer, because it's got functionality in there, and then you adopt it, and then you move faster through your code, your what you're planned to build. So now you need to create an administration of what you've been adding to your own code. Basically. Okay.
So you need to you need to make a list. Well, I'm building this. And this part is my own code, basically. This is where I call a library from that source, and this version I get, and for that part I'm using that library, and so you need to be really structured in the way that you use, and it works two ways actually. So you have this responsibility as a developer to have this, but
document
to document
and
it,
update your document.
Absolutely, because what is with the SBOM, you should for each update you run for your application, you should also update the SBOM.
Of course.
So and that by itself makes it worth automating, I think. There's a lot of reason why you should automate it, but. So as a developer, you need to get acquainted with the concept of an SBOM, but also with the customer, because if you sell the application to the customer, then the customer actually, in Europe it's not yet enforced, but he will be enforced by law to ask, okay, and is there an SBOM with that software, and in which confirm which standard is that SBOM, because I need to have it stored in my SBOM library type of thing, because I want to know that if there's a vulnerability connected to one of the libraries that is used in my architecture, I want to have a red flag with that piece of software.
It's interesting because, so give you an example. We develop a piece of code that does barcode scanning. A specific scanner in there. We need to use the software development kit for that. So that's a specific version, probably connected to a specific version of that scanner. And I document that, and I give that document to my customer. It will be interesting to see if that person understands what the vulnerability is in this version. There's only one way to make this useful. That's probably doing something with automation or AI. Check all those documents and give you a security stance. basically on what the system is reading.
Yeah, and that's also, if you read, there's the National Cybersecurity Center in the Netherlands has published a starter guide on working with SBOM. And there they also describe, and it's a joint venture of some IT parties and the government. And there they also say, well, you should have an application where you store all those SBOMs, and actually that application should be connected to either a NIST library with CVEs or the MITRE library with all the CVEs.
Otherwise, it's undoable.
It's undoable, absolutely.
You can't have that knowledge.
No, exactly. No, and you want to connect it to external sources where experts saying, well, in this version of this library, there's a vulnerability, and then you want to have a red flag and want to know what needs to be done there.
So recommendations for software developers is do your documentation.
Get acquainted with the concept of SBOM, and there are 2 or 3 applications with which you can create the SBOM, for instance, and there are some guidelines on the internet and some standards saying, well, you could easily create an SBOM for your application using this
like
this code. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So that's the first. As a developer, get acquainted with the SBOM, and then as an organization, get acquainted with the SBOM. But then from the other side of
have a process around it.
Otherwise, exactly. Who's going to be responsible for getting all the SBOMs and extracting all the SBOMs from all the applications that you're? Do you have, for starters, do you have this insight in your landscape? Which applications are there? Which applications are running in your application landscape? I think that's a big challenge for.
And who is responsible for all those this library of SBOMs? Is it the CISO, security officer, or is it an IT issue?
Well, it's interesting. I think it depends under which legislation it will be enforced. Who's responsible?
This is the NIST 2.
Yeah, if it's going to be enforced under a NIST 2, NIST 2 has this responsibility
then everyone is
for the
responsible.
change.
Even the CFO is.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that the CIO and CISO should be aware of this and should start requesting the things either from suppliers, both internally and externally.
Yeah. All right, cool. So, what are the takeaways for today? Get acquainted with
the SBOM and make it, read the starter guide from the Dutch government. I think
is it in English as well?
I think it's as far as I know, it's available in English, and otherwise we can
try to share it somewhere as a link around.
Yeah,
this video.
I think that's. I think those are the 2 main things, and just be aware it's coming, and also it's helpful. It's extremely helpful.
Good.
Yeah, exactly. I think that a lot of people, if this was enforced prior to 2001, a lot of IT staff would only have at least 1 day of Christmas with their family instead of missing the 2. They had at least 1.
Yeah. So you still have 1 year because NIST 2, then it's getting enforced.
Yeah,
more or less, probably.
Yeah, until 2024.
Yeah, so you have 1 year to learn about the concept and do your thing.
Yeah.